Hello and welcome to World News here on TVP World. I'm Marie Cato. Poland's Interior Minister Marcin Kierwiński has confirmed that a section of the railway in the central part of the country was damaged in an act of sabotage. There is an ongoing investigation into who might have planted the suspected explosive device, with the incident occurring at a time of heightened hybrid warfare activity by Russia all across Europe.
This weekend we dealt with two incidents. One confirmed act of sabotage that took place in the village of Mika in Garwolin County, and a second, very likely act of sabotage. In this case, security services are still investigating. Yesterday at around 7:30 a.m. a train was stopped because the driver noticed a gap in the track. Since the early morning hours, the police, the Central Investigation Bureau, the Internal Security Agency, the Fire Service and all relevant agencies, as well as the prosecutor's office, have been dispatched to the site of the incident to determine what we are dealing with. At this point, we can say that an explosive device was detonated to damage the railway tracks. Yesterday, experts working at the site confirmed this beyond any doubt. Investigations are still underway, as are the efforts of the security services, but the second incident involves damage to 60 meters of the overhead power line on the same railway and several hundred meters down, damage to a metal clamp installed on the track.
Further to the developments of the last 48 hours, Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk posted an announcement on social media informing that a national security meeting will take place tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, an extraordinary meeting of the Government Committee for National Security will be held, with the participation of military commanders, heads of the security services, and representatives of the President.
A passenger train collided with objects placed on the tracks near Žalec in northern Slovenia. Slovenian Railways have released a statement saying that the incident was not isolated and sabotage is suspected. The objects piled up on the tracks included tree branches, garden furniture and a bicycle. In the early hours of the morning, the train hit the pile and then stopped at Žalec station. The scene was secured by local police who are investigating a, quote, crime involving endangering public transport through dangerous actions. No one was injured as a result of the incident. This is the latest in a series of incidents in recent weeks involving unknown perpetrators destroying railway infrastructure or placing objects on the tracks in the country. These efforts have led to several serious accidents since October. France will deliver up to 100 Rafale warplanes to Ukraine over the next 10 years. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Monday as his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky visited Paris seeking to bolster his country's long-term military capacity to fight Russia's invasion.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Paris, where he met with President Macron to finalize deals on the supply of weapons from France.
Today, we're entering a new stage. With this agreement, we continue to count on the rapprochement and on the integration of our defense industries in order to continue to support Ukraine, the modernization of its armed forces on the front line, which are the first line of defense for Europe and for dissuasion against aggression.
During the press conference, Macron pledged to deliver up to 100 last-generation Rafale fighter jets.
This is a new generation that is beginning. We will fulfill this commitment of 100 Rafale fighter jets along with the training and production programs that accompany it. Important documents are being signed today on a significant strengthening of our defense capabilities. And the first thing is that Ukraine will be able to receive 100 Rafale F4 aircraft, very powerful French radars, 8 air defense systems and 6 SAMP-T launchers.
Macron also announced that French train maker Alstom signed a contract worth around 475 million euros to supply locomotives to the Ukrainian Railways operator. Speaking to the press, the French president expressed confidence in Zelensky's ability to improve Ukraine's anti-corruption track record amid the ongoing energy scandal, and said that he hoped that peace will be obtained by 2027.
Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski and his Swedish counterpart Maria Malmer-Stenergard met in Warsaw today to renew their commitment to bilateral cooperation between Poland and Sweden. The officials emphasized the necessity to ramp up pressure on Russia's shadow fleet. Our reporter Paweł Trzaskowski attended the press conference and brings us more.
Poland and Sweden share the same concerns when it comes to the security of the Baltic Sea. This is why during today's visit of the Swedish Foreign Minister to Warsaw, the issue of shadow fleet was given much prominence.
We have this clunker fleet plying the waters of the Baltic, sometimes without inadequate insurance, sometimes using tankers that are woefully technically obsolete, which is a source of income for Putin's war, but is also a threat to both the undersea critical infrastructure, such as cables and pipelines, and, as you know, to the environment. This is an urgent matter to resolve.
I think we can be even faster when it comes to intelligence sharing. This is something that we constantly discuss, cooperating seamlessly in the Baltic Sea region, also being able to respond quickly and with strength to Russian activity, whatever it might be, and to also be quite innovative in that.
In the last EU sanctions package, more than 200 vessels belonging to the shadow fleet were put on the sanctions list. However, the EU is pushing for more control. The new measures could include increasing inspections of vessels at sea. From Warsaw, Poland, for TVP World, I'm Paweł Trzaskowski.
A drone strike has ignited a gas tanker near Ukraine's Izmail port on the Romanian border, prompting authorities to evacuate a village across the Danube.
4,000 tons of liquefied petroleum gas caught fire after Russia launched overnight drone attacks on southern Ukraine. The ship, identified as the Turkish-flagged Orinda, has been moored at Izmail since November 12th. Emergency services evacuated residents from the Plauru, a tiny Danube village facing the Ukrainian port, due to the risk of explosion, and suspended road and river traffic nearby. Romania's defense ministry says it detected no violations of its airspace during the attack. The incident comes days after Bucharest summoned the Russian ambassador over the drone debris found inside NATO territory.
7 ships from NATO's mine countermeasures group arrived in the port of Riga over the weekend. A Latvian vessel was joined by mine hunters from Poland, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, France and Finland. They were welcomed by Latvia's Defense Minister Andris Spruds. In a social media post, the minister said the fleet demonstrates NATO's presence in the Baltic Sea and the alliance's commitment to strengthening security in the region. The group forms part of NATO's Baltic Guard, which protects underwater infrastructure and neutralizes historical sea mines to prevent threats to shipping. Czech billionaire Daniel Křetínský will soon become one of the largest shareholders of the French giant Total Energies in a deal valued at 5.1 billion euros. In exchange for the shares, the businessman will transfer his energy assets from Western Europe into a joint venture with the French group.
This is Daniel Křetínský, one of Czech Republic's wealthiest citizens. Many years ago, he made a bet and invested in fossil fuel power generation when others shunned it. Now this bet has paid off. In a deal announced on Monday, Křetínský's company, EPH, will move its Western European assets into a joint venture with Total Energies in exchange for the French energy giant's shares in a deal valued at 5.1 billion euros.
We are both highly interested in becoming a long-term anchor shareholder of Total Energies and excited to create a joint venture which is already today a leading player in European flexible power generation.
At the center of the transaction lies numerous gas-fired power plants Křetínský's holding company already owns or has in development in Western Europe, which complement Total LNG's business.
Given our position as the #1 gas supplier in Europe, this transition enables us to fully capitalize on gas-to-power integration and create added value for our LNG chain independently of oil cycles.
Lately, Křetínský has been rapidly expanding his business portfolio. Last December, he became the majority owner of Slovenská elektrárna, the biggest power provider in Slovakia and operator of 2 nuclear power plants. Around the same time, the Czech billionaire also acquired a majority stake in Royal Mail, a distressed British national postal operator. Bloomberg's Billionaire Index ranks Kierwiński as the 300th richest person in the world with a total net worth of 11 billion euros.
And that's all for World News. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more on TVP World. Goodbye.